welcome back to another edition of the European Soccer Show. And in a celebratory episode across Europe, we are crowning champions. We are celebrating. And the big news, of course, this week is Newcastle finally won. But in a joyous mood himself, as ever, we have Leo joining me. Hello, Leo.
Hello, Daniel. How are you?
I'm nice and balanced, neutral, okay. But yes, oh my goodness, what a show we got for you today. All the things to discuss in the Premier League this week. We've got movings in the title race, but more so as Spurs climb out of the relegation zone. In Spain, Barcelona on the edge of a title of their own and could win the title when they when they play against Real Madrid next week. Delicioso. In Italy, Inter have been crowned champions as a stupid number of clean sheets are kept. In Germany, goals galore and the relegation scrap continues. And in France, your Lyon won to tighten their grip on a Champions League place. Lots and lots and lots happened this week, and we have to start right now because we don't have time to dilly-dally. So we're going to start in the Premier League, and we are going to have a quick word on the title race because on Saturday, Arsenal played Fulham, who reportedly had quite the stomach virus this week. Either that showed or Arsenal finally woke up as they defeated their London compatriots 3-0 with goals, 2 goals coming from Victor Gyökeres and 1 from Bukayo Saka. Arsenal 3 goals, all in the first half. They looked the most alive they've looked in weeks, haven't they? They looked ready to play football as opposed to just defend.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It was a really solid performance from Arsenal. The best way to prepare for tonight's clash against Atletico de Madrid, of course. We can note that Bukayo Saka, has finally regained some confidence after having been injured for
arguably, fitness as opposed to confidence.
Yeah,
or maybe even confidence in his own body.
Yeah, of course. And we can also note that Victor Gyökeres is now 20 plus goals this season. This is something I think Arsenal have missed this past 2-3 years if they were aiming to win the title.
Yeah, all those accusations about him being a flat track bully seem to have gone away. Do you know how many goals he scored against teams in the top half of the Premier League?
No, I don't.
Still a flat track bully, but for a better side, apparently.
But goals against the weaker teams are also important. So,
and also weaker in the Premier League is basically the same as top in Portugal. Arsenal won to extend their lead at the top of the Premier League to 6 points, although Manchester City had 2 games in hand. But on Bank Holiday Monday, which in the UK means that we will get the day off, we get to watch a bit more extra football. Manchester City went to Everton and could only draw 3-3. A kind of astonishing match, actually, because Manchester City were winning 1-0 with about 25 minutes to go, all in control. And then a couple of defensive errors, and Everton scored 3 goals in the space of 15 minutes. Manchester City, could have easily been accused of throwing it away and letting it slip and let the pressure get to them. Do you think this was a slip, or do you think this should credit Everton for actually fighting back?
For my part, I always find it funny how a simple mistake or a simple fact in the game can change the whole game. Yesterday it was Marguerite's missed pass. We thought Manchester City, when they were 1-0 up, were going to win this one, even if winning at Everton is never an easy task. And yet there was this mistake, and then 3 goals in 15-20 minutes. And everything was falling apart for
But it's
12 months.
interesting though, because if we talk about like the mentality of Manchester City suffering at that moment, also we should point out that the second that Everton scored the third goal from that kickoff, Haaland scored Manchester City second. So also then the mentality to not only go straight back into it, but then also to fight until the very end, because it was Jeremy Doku who scored in the 7th minute stoppage time to snatch a late draw. So Manchester City still came away with the points, but it actually might be the death knell in their title challenge.
Yeah, but we have seen that this season is pretty strange with all the results, and one because they grab one point, which could count at the end of the season. Because if there were 6 points behind Arsenal, it would have meant that Arsenal only needed to win 2 games, I think, to be crowned champions. Now it's different. And
slightly, but we should also consider the fact that because it's a draw, Manchester City's goal difference hasn't benefited, and Arsenal are now 3 the better off. Tasty. Elsewhere at the bottom of the table, a pretty horrendous weekend for West Ham United, who have been in brilliant form in recent weeks. They went to Brentford and lost 3-0. Now, do you think West Ham fans shouldn't get too downhearted, despite everything going wrong this weekend, because all of their rivals won to pull clear of them? West Ham actually played pretty well. They hit the woodwork 3 times. They had a goal disallowed for offside by a very narrow margin. This game really could have gone a different way, couldn't it?
Yeah, this is what I was going to underline, is that the score doesn't really do West Ham justice, because as you said, they hit the woodwork 3 times. It was pretty chaotic. They missed their chances when, especially in the first half, and it was a strange game. It could have been 7 or 8 goals. It wouldn't have done any difference, but West Ham didn't seize their opportunity, and here is where the difference was.
Yeah, you do sort of wonder, because of course an away match against Brentford, and you think about their match against Crystal Palace, who played an entirely rotation side. 1 point against those 2 teams, really damaging at this point, because their next 3 matches are, home to Arsenal, away to Newcastle. By that point, they might be out of it, because elsewhere, like I said, all of their rivals won. On Friday, Leeds United defeated Burnley 3-1, which means Leeds United are now 7 points ahead of West Ham, with only 3 matches remaining to all but guarantee safety for next season. A brilliant turnaround for Leeds, and their astonishing form continues. That's 3 wins in the last 4. They've only lost 1 match in the last 15, I think it is, or 2 matches in the last 15. This second half of the season, they've shown that they're not only this is not relegation scrapping form. The second half of the season has been really solid.
Yeah, they have been really solid since the start of the second half of the season. This victory against Burnley, a relegated team, it was important for them to win this one. As we all know, it's not always easy to win those games. Remember Tottenham only beating Wolves 1-0 last week, so they needed this win. They are not safe yet, but they are likely to be in the next 2 weeks, maybe. So yeah, they have been doing everything they needed to stay in the Premier League, and they would deserve this safety zone.
So what I said before about West Ham United, perhaps fans should be a bit more optimistic, or a bit more, say, positive going forward because of the performance. Should the opposite be true for Spurs fans? Because they have won 2 matches in a row. No, they went to Aston Villa and won 2-1. But we should point out that Aston Villa were awful, weren't they? It was a significantly rotated side with the semi-final of the Europa League in midweek coming up. So it was almost like Spurs weren't actually playing against anybody. It was that easy.
Yeah, but I prefer give their flowers to Tottenham, because it's never easy to play at Villa Park. Even if Aston Villa have now lost 5 games, at home this season, so it's 4 more than during the entire season last year. But more importantly for Tottenham, it's the first time they actually win 2 games in a row since the opening and the second match day of the season. So there have been improvement for this Tottenham side since De Zerbi took control of them, especially in the mentality they have shown in games. They really seem to have acquired something, energy, vitality. They realized that their place in the Premier League was at risk, and they have put everything they can to finally try to maintain themselves in.
I said about Villa being pretty awful. They only created 0.02 xG in the first half, and actually only scored with basically the last kick of the game. A heavily rotated side, as I mentioned, as were Crystal Palace, again with the semi-final of the Conference League in midweek. They went to Bournemouth and lost 3-0. Bournemouth, who are now undefeated since selling Antoine Semenyo, which is quite astonishing, and are making their own late charge for a Champions League place. They're now 6 points behind Villa in 6th place. So yeah, Palace rotated, were fairly abject. Villa rotated and were awful. And yet Nottingham Forest went to Chelsea with a rotated side and won 3-1. Do you think Vitor Pereira is getting the credit he deserves? Because out of nowhere, Nottingham Forest are undefeated since March. They're having a terrific end to the season.
Yeah, they have, and they could end up with a European title at the in a few weeks. So
yeah, they do lead Villa 1-0.
Yeah, it's impressive. The only concern about Nottingham Forest is to know if Morgan Gibbs-White will be available to play.
It has been confirmed. It has been confirmed he's avoided concussion, so that's not the reason why he would miss out.
Because the image of his curl and everything was very, very terrible. So yeah, but just to finish with Forest, they are now 6 points clear of the relegation zone, with 3 games remaining. I think a win in the last 3 would allow them to breathe, because Tottenham and West Ham will have harsh games till the end of the season. So
I think you make a good point.
Positives for them.
Like I say, Forest defeated Chelsea at Stamford Bridge 3-1. Similarly, Chelsea are going through an extraordinary period of poor form. That's their sixth loss in a row in the league.
Yeah.
And they only scored again late on 3rd minute of injury time. That was their first goal in the league since the 4th of March, and have now slipped to 9th place. This is fairly disastrous, isn't it? Because this is a club that needs Champions League football to make the whole project from Blueco work, and they are falling fast.
You're right by saying they are 9th in the table, and they could even end up 12th, because only 1 point separate them from Sunderland. With 3 games remaining, they are having a disastrous season. Even if they win the FA Cup final, it will be kind of chaotic, because Chelsea, with all their project and investments, they should be playing for Europe, Champions League football, and even competing with Manchester City and Arsenal for the title.
Well, the odd thing was, if you think back to before Christmas, Chelsea were in the title conversation. They were 6 points behind at that point. Astonishing second half of the season for all the wrong reasons. Elsewhere, the matches we haven't mentioned, like I said before, Newcastle United defeated Brighton, a very informed Brighton, 3-1. William Asula's 4th goal in 5 matches, pretty good there. Wolves to Sunderland drew 1-1 after Dan Ballard was controversially sent off for quote-unquote hair pulling. And we've not even spoken about possibly one of the more fun games of the weekend, Manchester United and Liverpool, that rivalry. Low stakes in comparison. Man United winning 3-2 there. at Old Trafford. But that victory does mean that Manchester United are guaranteed a Champions League spot for next year. So the last thing to talk about is Michael Carrick. We've mentioned before that perhaps they had a couple of losses, say like 4 or 5 weeks ago, in which perhaps the flaws of Michael Carrick were coming through because, of course, it may well just have been momentum carrying them through as opposed to tactical choices. However, Michael Carrick's Man United have now defeated Arsenal, Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea, I think, although it doesn't really say much at the minute. He may not be the right man for the job, but it does feel like he's earned an opportunity, doesn't it?
Yeah, if you just take a look at his performances and the results of Manchester United, he deserves to stay at least for next season because, yeah, you have recalled that they had triumph against Arsenal, Manchester United, now Liverpool. It's kind of impressive, especially given Manchester United weren't really expected to fight for the podium at the beginning of the season. So he has been doing a tremendous job with them. So why? And the question is not, is he qualified enough to stay at Manchester United? The other one is, who could replace him for next season? Because the question is open. Even if Andoni Raiola has said he will leave Bournemouth, for example, he could be a replacement. But is it really worth it? I don't know.
So we're going to leave the Premier League there, with West Ham and Spurs possibly being the last two in the relegation fight, and Arsenal Man City fighting to the end for the championship. Right, off to Italy we go with Serie A. 10 matches to cover and 9 clean sheets. Yes, more clean sheets than a laundromat. Who knows? Right, so I suppose the big news being that Inter have won the title, 12 points clear of second place Napoli. In fact, they're the only team in the top 4 to actually win this week when they defeated Parma 2-0 with goals from Marcus Thuram and Mkhitaryan. No doubt about it. They not only are they deserved winners, but the opposition over the long stretch have been pretty poor, haven't they?
Yeah, they have confirmed that they have played a real good season, even if it's not finished over for them, because they will play the Coppa Italia final against Lazio. Yeah, credit to Christian Chivu, as we said, because they were duped about how he could fit with Inter following Inzaghi's departure last summer. So bravo to Christian Chivu for what he has achieved this season.
Absolutely. Becoming the first Inter manager to win it as player and manager, I believe, since the 1930s, I think. So wonderful achievement. Elsewhere in the chase for the Champions League places, Juventus had a huge opportunity this weekend because Como and Napoli faced each other, which ended 0-0. But Juve faced Hellas Verona, already relegated Hellas Verona, and somehow managed to only draw it 1-1. This is a huge dropped ball, isn't it, from Juventus? This was such an opportunity, such an easy hit, and they kind of failed to take advantage of it.
Yeah, it's funny because we were just talking about Leeds United beating Burnley and the importance of winning these games. Juventus, it's obviously a disappointing result for them, especially at home. And just imagine if they fall 1 or 2 points to qualify for the Champions League, because there are now a lot of teams in contention for the spots. They would regret this result.
Absolutely, and actually other teams as well. So like quite at risk. So AC Milan at one point, very recently, still in the title hunt, basically safe for the Champions League, and they are now only 3 points ahead of 5th position because AC Milan went to Sassuolo and lost 2-0. Something we didn't mention about Christian Chivu was the fact that the teams behind him, led by Antonio Conte, led by Max Allegri, led by Luciano Spalletti. Actually, when you compare about the head coaches that he's up against, it's even bigger achievement, isn't it? The fact that this is, being such a rookie manager, his first title against such pedigree in those three.
Yeah, you can even name Gasperini from Roma, who has been in Serie A for long now. So it's all the more impressive for Chivu to have achieved what he has with Inter this season.
So you mentioned yourself, Gasperini at Roma. Roma defeated Fiorentina 4-0 yesterday, which means Roma are now 5th place, only 3 points behind 3rd place AC Milan. So with 3 games to go, AC Milan, Juventus, Roma, Como, who are only 3 points behind Juventus in 4th. Not only is it all to play for, but in AC Milan's case, there's a real risk of them mucking this up badly, and that was that was mucking with an M for mother, just so you know, like mucking it.
The second half of the season is quite a disaster, unworthy of a club of this stature, because, as you recall, we were talking about them as potential competitors for Inter a few months ago, and now they are at risk of not competing in the Champions League next season. So, of course, it's difficult for them. I know that they have only 8 wins during this since the start of the second half of the season, which is for AC Milan not a good result. They have lost 6 games now in the league. They had only 1 loss to I don't know how many league games. So they have dropped in the table. They had difficult wins, even because they have only 1 win in the last 5, and it was away at Hellas Verona, who are a bottom team of the league. So yeah, they will desperately need to win the 3 remaining games if they want to qualify for the Champions League, especially since they didn't play Europe this season.
Yeah, you do feel like 1 loss might be, for the last 3 games, 1 loss for any of them might be it in regards to chasing Europe. Looking at the bottom of the table, obviously we have 2 teams left in the relegation scrap. On Friday, Lecce went to already relegated Pisa and won 2-1. Lecce put 4 points between them and Cremonese before they hosted Lazio, and with Lazio finding a winner in the second minute of stoppage time. So Cremonese losing at home to Lazio 2-1. So now 4 points between Lecce and Cremonese with only 3 games left. Who could have seen this coming?
Credit to you. Yeah.
But we have to also give credit to Lecce, because there was a point where they looked down and out, and it's been a slog. It's been a slow burn. But they have incrementally, point by point, caught up to Cremonese, and they found the necessary wins in the last 6 weeks to overtake them. Now the onus is on Lecce to get another, say, couple of draws between now and the end of the season. I'm not saying win, because I'm not a fool, but that could be enough to keep them up now at this stage.
Yeah, I think it will be enough actually, because Cremonese are having a terrible and difficult season. 4 points with 3 games to go. It could be too much for Cremonese, who have only, let me check, who have only won 1 games in the last, I don't know. They have only won 1 game since December now. So I don't know how they could win 1 or 2. They would need 2 wins, I think, over their last 3 to be assured.
Ignore two,
Yeah.
1. Just get 1 win. They have to win a game.
Yeah, it would be difficult. Yeah, it would be difficult.
Elsewhere in Serie A, Udinese defeated Torino 2-0. Atalanta, Genoa 0-0. Bologna and Cagliari 0-0. Hey, fantasy football must be fun in Serie A. But we should also have a quick word on Serie B. So B, with only one match to go, we have 2 of the 3 promoted sides. Venezia are promoted, 1 point ahead of Frosinone. We don't know who's won Serie B yet, but those 2 teams will be in the top tier of Italian football next season. Looking like Monza, Palermo are favourites to go up via the playoff currently. Right, arrivederci to Italy for this week, and we shall move on to the Bundesliga. Oh, are there any clean sheets? One. I see 1 clean sheet in Germany. I suppose the most astonishing fixture this round, because we had a couple of big fixtures in the Champions League race. Hoffenheim and Stuttgart, and Bayer Leverkusen faced RB Leipzig. So all of the sides chasing. And Bayer Leverkusen were the big winners. They defeated RB Leipzig 4-1 to move into 4th place. They are now tied level points with Stuttgart and Hoffenheim after those 2 teams played out a 3-3 draws. So yeah, Leverkusen, the big winners of this weekend, coming through at the right time. A big performance.
Yeah, a big performance against a disappointing Leipzig side, because they are not in the same situation than AC Milan, but their season is. We can draw some parallels between them, because they don't compete in a European competition and everything, and they should be assured of playing Champions League football yet. But with only 4, even if with 4 points more than Leverkusen, Stuttgart, and Hoffenheim, they will probably be in the Champions League. Leipzig have been quite disappointing.
I say big performance for Leverkusen. It was also a big performance for Patrick Schiff, who got a hat-trick in this game. So that's also give credit there. In the other game, Hoffenheim and Stuttgart, 3-3. Hoffenheim really let this one slip, didn't they? They were 3-1 up with half an hour to go before they conceded another. And then Stuttgart had a man sent off. And yet somehow Hoffenheim didn't hold on. Stuttgart equalised in the 5th minute of stoppage time. Hoffenheim might come to rue that at the end of the season, dropping points against their Champions League rivals.
Yeah, I agree. But looking at the fixtures of the 3 teams, I think Hoffenheim seem to be the best placed to clinch the remaining Champions League spots. But they will certainly need 2 wins, because, for example, on next week, Leverkusen and Stuttgart play each other. So one of them,
of course, yes,
one of them will obviously drop points, if not the 2 of them. So it will be interesting to see Hoffenheim's end of the season.
Okay, we got a comment apparently. Hey, our best guy. I'll assume that's what it says.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, really fascinating stuff there. So also strangest match potentially, first against last in the Bundesliga. Bayern and Heidenheim drew 3-3. Heidenheim are a funny team. They've been in good form recently, but it's too late. I mean, they are with 2 matches to go. They aren't quite relegated yet. They can still catch the relegation playoff spots, so they're just holding in there. But yeah, it's sort of strange time for them to come good, I guess. But what a performance against Bayern. They were leading 2-0 before Bayern brought it back to 2-2, and then 3-2 to Heidenheim before I think Bayern needed a Michael Elise goal in the 10th minute of stoppage time to save a point there for the leaders. But yeah, Heidenheim with a bit of getting ahead of steam before the end of the season. Do you think they could do it? They're only 3 points behind Wolfsburg.
I think it could have. They could have done it if they were to win at Bayern. I think they will have some regrets now, because they could have been only trailing Wolfsburg and St. Pauli by 1 point. Now, 3, because they have a negative goal difference and 3 points less than Wolfsburg and St. Pauli, it will be difficult. Especially since Wolfsburg and St. Pauli will face each other on the final match day, so one of them will gain points.
Well, actually, we're coming to coming to the end game of the relegation spot, because after Heidenheim's 3-3 draw, Hamburg also went to Frankfurt and won 2-1, which means they're now safe. Union Berlin and Köln, as you said, they played each other and they drew 2-2. Köln actually led 2-0 in that game before Union Berlin drew it back. But now both of those sides are safe, even though Köln aren't they are technically catchable, but their goal difference is way, way better. Yeah. Elsewhere, St. Pauli had another opportunity to try and gain some ground above them, but they lost at home 2-1 against Mainz. So they actually fall into the relegation zone after Wolfsburg drew at Freiburg 1-1. So Wolfsburg are now out of the relegation zone in the relegation playoff spots. They have an opportunity now, don't they? They could just squeeze out of it.
Yeah. And as we were saying, the final game of the season between Wolfsburg and St. Pauli will be, I think, the relegation spot, the playoff spot decider.
The other one was Borussia Mönchengladbach, who have been sort of dragged back into this scrap as well. They actually defeated Borussia Dortmund, whose season ended a few weeks ago, if we're honest. But they won 1-0. Tavovic getting the only goal with about 10 minutes to go. So Borussia Mönchengladbach also safe. So really, it does come down to, with Köln, Werder Bremen, both are 6 points clear of Wolfsburg. So it does feel like it's between Wolfsburg, St. Pauli and Heidenheim to see who gets relegated and who is in the playoff spot. It feels like no one can actually be caught at this stage.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a free-war battle between Heidenheim, St. Pauli and Wolfsburg. Difficult to say who will save themselves, even if I think it will be between Wolfsburg and St. Pauli. It is difficult and it will be interesting.
Only 2 matches to go. You mentioned as well, Werder Bremen, 6 points cleared, despite the fact they lost at home to Augsburg 3-1. They only need 1 more point to be guaranteed safe.
Yeah.
Right, so we should, before we head off from the Bundesliga, we should probably mention the Zweite Bundesliga, where Schalke have been promoted. Schalke are finally back in the Bundesliga after their time away. So they are up. The 3 other teams with 2 games to go. The 3 other teams playing for the other relegation spot, promotion spot, sorry. Quite surprising, really. Elfsberg are currently second, followed by Hannover 96 and Paderborn. So, yeah, it could be quite a surprise collection trying to get into the Bundesliga for next season. Right, auf Wiedersehen und danke to the Bundesliga. Let's go over to La Liga. Lots and lots happening here. Mostly relegation stuff, to be honest. But we should probably have a quick word on the top of the table. Barcelona went to Osasuna and won 2-1 with the goals coming from Lewandowski and Ferran Torres, which meant that on Sunday, Real Madrid had to win at Espanyol to make sure the title was not clinched, and they did. They won 2-0 with both goals coming from Vinicius Jr. But it does mean that next week's El Clasico, Barcelona just need to draw, and they get to win the title against Real Madrid. Feels quite proper, doesn't it? Because Barcelona have by far been the better team this year.
Yeah, and I wonder if Real Madrid fans wouldn't have preferred to lose or draw at Espanyol than at Barcelona, because it will be the ultimate humiliation to lose at the Camp Nou, or to see their rival being crowned in front of them.
Yeah, I suppose though, had they lost, lost the title, they would have to give them the Guard of Honor as they came on the split. So
but I think they will not. I read news about that, and they don't want to do it. So. Yeah,
but that's ego, isn't it?
Not really fair.
It's not very sporting. Speaking of sporting, no, we're not yet. That's a different team. Right, but I mean, probably talk about the relegation battle, because again, that's the place where so much happened. The big news was yesterday, Sevilla against Real Sociedad. Sevilla won. They won their second match in 4 games, which means they've climbed out of the relegation zone. They defeated the Real Sociedad 1-0. Big victory there. And Alaves have dropped in after losing at home 4-2 against Athletic Club. So now I mean, we should probably do a bit more, actually, because there's just so many involved. Another big victory for Mallorca. Mallorca went to Girona and won 1-0, which means Mallorca also, they would have dropped into the relegation zone. got one. So they've pulled clear to 15th. Elche went to Celta Vigo and lost 3-1. Levante lost at Villarreal 5-1. So many teams. Real Oviedo are basically down now. 4 matches left. They're 9 points from safety. They lost at Real Betis 3-0. So at the bottom of the table, Oviedo on 28th, probably gone. Levante on 33. Alaves on 36, Sevilla on 37, and then you've got Girona, Mallorca, Elche, all on 38. This is becoming impossible to predict, isn't it? Because basically every team in the bottom half, apart from Rayo Vallecano, who's at 11th, every single one of those teams can still get relegated, and every single one of those teams, apart from Espanyol and Girona, have won 2 matches in the last 6 games. So it's become entirely unpredictable because all teams are finding some kind of form, some kind of punch.
Yeah, as you said, it's impossible to predict who will be relegated, apart from Real Oviedo. Even Levante could save themselves with some wins. But regarding this weekend, Sevilla and Mallorca have done the real coup because everyone else have lost. So of course it was good for Sevilla. For example, it was the perfect opponents. Real Sociedad were the perfect opponents because they are assured to play the European football next season thanks to their winning the Copa del Rey, and they don't have anything left to play in the table. So they made the most of this opportunity. A goal from Alexis Sanchez, which is quite symbolic, of course, for Sevilla. And yeah, it's a good opportunity for them to get out of the relegation zone.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also that interesting thought of because it's just like random teams are winning at random points. So 2 teams will win and they'll climb out the relegation. Then another team will win and they'll climb out. It's just you just need to time this well. With 4 games to go, you just need to make sure that you're the team that wins on like the final week or so. Just make sure, because no one is safe really. In the bottom half of the table. Apart from, as I mentioned, Rayo Vallecano, who followed up a good week in the Conference League. They defeated Strasbourg 1-0 to lead that semi-final. They then went to Getafe and won 2-0. Actually, I should probably, quick words. I said every single team has won at least 2 matches in the bottom, apart from Espanyol and Girona. Both teams that should have been safe a long time ago, but they haven't been able to put victories together. Girona have lost their last 3 games. Espanyol have lost 3 of the last 4. And both are within 3 points of Alaves. So you do wonder that if Alaves can find that victory, either of those sides are now the team in a downward trajectory, whereas all the others are finding these victories to scrap up. They're the 2 that aren't scrapping at all. They're the ones that are plummeting and just hoping they have enough.
Yeah, you mentioned Espanyol. Their second half of the season have been catastrophic because they were fighting for Europe a few weeks ago, and since then they haven't won a single game. And they could be relegated now. So difficult times for them. You've also talked about Rayo Vallecano, who could clinch a trophy at the end of the season, which would be a real feat for a club like that. The end of the season will be really, of course, dramatic. And do we love that? Of course we do.
Delicious drama. Num, 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 num. Yeah. Okay, so anything else we've missed in La Liga? I don't think so. Oh, yes, we did. Atletico, obviously another rotated side as they get prepared for their game against Arsenal tonight. They went to Valencia and won 2-0. Means that Valencia are still 3 points ahead of the relegation zone, but the same goal difference as Alaves in the relegation zone. So 1 victory and they're below. Amazing. Quick word on La Liga 2 or Dos. So we also have, not confirmed because there's still 4 matches left, but currently at the top are Racing Santander, followed by Almeria, We've got Deportivo, who of course have to finish the season without their goalkeeper after he was banned for what was it, 12 matches for
12
punching
matches,
for running up and
12 or
attacking
14. I don't
for attacking
remember.
somebody. It was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Las Palmas, it's
And
yes,
the video was, sorry, but it was so funny to see that.
it is a bit funny just because it wasn't like one of those momentary, like something happened and you swing out. It was no.
Yeah,
He
what
chased that
happened?
guy
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, it was quite.
Yeah. It's one of the longest bans in Spanish league history. And rightly so, it was stupid and violent.
Yeah.
But yes, so La Liga 2, Racing Santander, Almira, they're the guys currently top of the table, but with 4 matches left, it really can be any of Santander, Almira, Deportivo, Las Palmas, all fighting for those automatic promotion spots. Right, finally, let's go off to France. Adios, La Liga, and we're going to say bonjour to Ligue 1. And the big news is not the title race, which is actually something of a strange stumbling over the line. But the Champions League fight is fantastic. But we are going to start with Lyon. Lyon against Rennes. Separated by 1 point before this, both teams just outside the Champions League places. But Lyon won 4-2, and Lyon are now 3rd place. It's a vital win for Lyon, but a brilliant match regardless. Both teams showing why they deserve to be in this European talk.
Yeah, because Lyon finally lived up to their status in a do-or-die match. They played like a team worthy, a team that deserved Champions League football. They really dominated Rennes, as Rennes players said at the end of the game. It was a brilliant win for Lyon. They're now in contention for a podium finish, which is, let's remember it, something no one expected at the beginning of the season because everything that happened. Even a few weeks ago when Lyon lost 9 games in a row, it was impossible to predict they could enjoy that momentum. And now, because Lille drew this weekend, Marseille lost, this game was all the more important for them, and they have seized the opportunity to keep their destiny, their fate in their hands.
Yeah, I say Lyon are now 3rd on 60 points, Rennes are 5th on 56, and between them are Lille on 58. Sorry, Lille at home to a very bad Le Havre side. Can only manage a 1-1 draw. Again, we said it before throughout the show. Quite a missed opportunity for Lille. They really should have picked something up against, like I say, quite an average and badly performing Le Havre side.
Yeah, especially since they will play Monaco in the next game, so away at Monaco. So they would have been inspired to win against Le Havre, but they lacked so many things to do so. So now the thing is that in France, the best is to finish 3rd, because when you finish 4th, you will have to play 2 playoff games, 3 playoffs qualifying games for the Champions League. So it will be difficult with a long season and everything. So
yeah, just as well you don't have 20 teams in your league, it'll be even longer. So Lyon 60, Lille 58, Rennes 56, Monaco on 54. They went to bottom of the table Metz and won 2-1. With goals coming from American Florian Balogun and Ansu Fati. So they won 2-1 and they are on 54 points. Like you say, they host Lille next week. So Monaco will be well aware that's a victory and they're right back in the conversation for Champions League football.
Yeah.
But it is where Monaco have to win.
Yeah, they have. And something you haven't mentioned is that when they beat Metz, they also relegated Metz, because now Metz are the first officially relegated team in Ligue 1. But it wasn't an easy victory for Monaco. Metz fought back. They played a good good
Well,
football.
Metz actually led that game, didn't they? Metz led 1-0.
Yeah, but I have a staggering fact for you.
Go on.
The Metz coach, Benoit Tavenot, he has managed 2 teams since the start of the season. So second tier Bastia and first tier Metz, and he hasn't won a single game this season. So
So how
it's
do you get the
impressive.
Metz job?
Can't answer that, but he's on a 25 league unwinning game. I don't know the word for the
No, I know
opposite
what you
of
mean.
unbeaten, but
Yeah, beaten, I think it is.
yeah, beaten game. So
that is funny.
yeah.
Now you may be wondering why people watching why Nantes haven't been relegated yet. That's because they won somehow, and not only did they win, they defeated Marseille 3-0, which is an absolutely astonishing result. Again, it's kind of for the wrong reasons for Marseille. That's why we've not mentioned them in the European conversation. So with 2 games to go, Marseille, who were the top goal scorers in Ligue 1 for so long, who were almost guaranteed Champions League football, and their season they're doing a Chelsea. They're falling and they're dropping, and they are now currently 7th.
Yes, 7th.
On 53 beneath Monaco. Marseille are about to. Well, their season's kind of been ruined. They are not going to get Champions League football, which was kind of the minimum requirement, wasn't it?
Yeah, especially since their finance are in at difficulties. Concerning the game against Nantes, if someone unfamiliar with Ligue 1 had decided to sit down and to enjoy the game, they would have struggled to guess which team was playing for relegation and which team was playing for European football, to be honest, because Metz not only won 3-0, they completely dominated the game, and it was kind of impressive to see Marseille that's bad.
Well, it's quite embarrassing in a way as well.
Yeah, embarrassing.
So we should probably also say that so Nantes doing a good job to try and save themselves, because obviously there are 2 automatic relegation spots and a relegation playoff spot above them. They would have clawed the waves back to only 2 points behind Auxerre, except Auxerre defeated Angers 3-1, which means Auxerre only 3 points behind Nice. And who play each other next weekend?
I don't know.
I think it's Auxerre Nice.
Oh,
I can't remember which way around. But in case anyone's not aware, Nice, they drew 1-1 against Lens, which we'll come to in a second. So 3 points ahead of Auxerre, but Auxerre's goal difference is significantly better. So if Auxerre can defeat Nice, and they will switch. Which I don't know. I feel like I've got a thing against Nice, but I don't know why. They're just quite bad when they shouldn't be.
They were bad, and funnily enough, they were quite good in the past weeks, drawing at Lens, drawing at Lille.
They're in the French Cup final.
Yeah, they're in the French Cup final, so they could be relegated and playing in Europe next season.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going around, isn't there?
Yeah,
it's weird. Anyway, but we did say Nice drew at home against Lens. If again, any hope of the final title push, I think, went with this, because Paris Saint-Germain could only manage to draw at home against Lyon. They took the lead twice, but were pegged back twice, finished 2-2. So had Lens won this, perhaps it would have gone to, it would have gone within 4 points, and then had Lens been able to defeat PSG in their game in hands, that kind of thing. But it's not to be, so it stays as it is. Other results: Strasbourg lost at home 2-1 against Toulouse. Strasbourg, we mentioned a couple of weeks ago that Gary O'Neill's been doing an excellent job since taking over, because Strasbourg got to the semi-final of the Coupe de France, semi-final of the Conference League, doing pretty well, except they lost to Nice in the Coupe de France. And in midweek last week, they did lose to Rayo Vallecano. So their season does kind of hinge on them turning that around, although they did last time against Mainz, winning 4-0. It does feel like this is Strasbourg's season in this next match midweek against Rayo Vallecano, doesn't it?
Yeah, especially since they have done the choice to let Ligue 1 go because they wanted to focus on the Conference League. So they will give it all on the Rayo Vallecano's game on Thursday.
Exciting. The only other match we didn't mention was Paris FC against Brest. Paris winning 4-0 there as Brest fell flat. So that's it for Ligue 1, but we should probably say for Ligue 2, congratulations to Troyes, who have won. They are being promoted. So the City Group team, who were relegated 2 seasons ago, I think it was, are coming back. And the teams currently fighting for that second automatic spot are between Le Mans, Saint-Etienne, and Red Star. So, yeah, everything's coming. I love this time of the season where you see everything coming together.
Yeah.
But that brings us to the end of our European roundup. Should we talk about the things we may have missed?
Yeah.
You noticed we're a bit quicker this week because there's probably a lot that we've missed.
Yeah, of course. No, you've mentioned, because I did note some relegated or promoted team. So you've mentioned, of course, Schalke having been promoted to the Bundesliga, Troyes to Ligue 1, and crowned Ligue 2 champions. In Switzerland, the FC Thun have won the title at the expense of every big names in Switzerland.
Yeah,
which is
I was going to say, if people aren't aware, I didn't realize it was pronounced Thun. FC Thun, Thun. Not even in the top 10 biggest places in Switzerland. I actually have written it down somewhere. There's not capacity. What's the
they were
population?
promoted.
A population of less than 45,000 people, and they've won the Swiss title. They've been around for 128 years, this team, and this is their first ever trophy.
Yeah.
What an achievement!
Yeah, they are a promoted team, and they have won the Swiss league, which is impressive.
Yeah.
We can
I think they also nearly bankrupt again about 5-6 years ago. It's a similar story to Bodo Glimt in Norway.
Yeah, I read something like that. So impressive results. We can also mention that in Portugal, Porto have won the league, actually.
Yeah, and also commiserations to Jose Mourinho and Benfica, because they are undefeated. It's going to be an unusual thing where they might finish the season undefeated but not actually win anything.
They are the Arsenal of Portugal.
Well, that's not bad. When the Invincibles happened, they won the league.
Yeah.
I think they.
So they won. But,
Yeah.
What
else you got?
In Scotland, of course, Earth are.
You and I made notes on the same things. I think people should know.
Yeah.
So yes, in Scotland, Celtic went to Hibs and won 2-1, and Hearts played Rangers first against third, and Hearts came through winning 2-1, which means with only 3 games left, Hearts are on 76, Celtic are on 73, and Rangers are on 69. Wahey. But it does feel like Rangers are now out of it. But next week, it's the big one. It's the Glasgow Derby, Celtic against Rangers. Now Rangers will be doing everything in their power to not let Celtic win the title. But this is going right to the death. Scottish football needs this, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's important for Scottish football to not end the domination of Rangers and Celtic. Yeah, but it's important for the league to have another team winning it, and because it shows the other team they can do it.
Sorry to jump in, but like for context for people that don't follow the Scottish football, if you think Bayern winning the Bundesliga is straightforward, 13 out of the last 14 titles, I think Paris Saint-Germain is a formality, winning 12 of the last 15. In Scotland, a team other than Celtic and Rangers, the last team to win the league title was Aberdeen in 1985, I think it was 86, something like that. But yeah, we're talking about the 80s, so we are 40 years since another team apart from them won the league title. So it's big. This is big and important and significant. And what an achievement, regardless, because obviously Hearts were recently taken over by Tony Bloom, who owns Brighton. And it shows that the algorithm, the way that he runs a football club, it's clearly working, because
it works
somewhere else, and actually it's paying dividends immediately.
Yeah. Credit to him for that, because it's by no means fit. It's impressive.
Other things we might have missed in the women's game, the Champions League final has been decided. So Lyonnais, defeated Arsenal 3-1, which means they go through to the final. Barcelona defeated Bayern 4-2, which means they go through to the final. So it is Olympique Lyonnais versus Barcelona again.
Once again, yeah.
This is the third time in 5 years that they face each other in the final. The sixth in 8 years, I think. Fourth in 8 years. Also, I made a note. The last time that neither of these teams got to the final was 11 years ago. So it's these two are really the dominant forces in women's football.
Yeah.
Elsewhere, anything else I've missed? Oh, yes. I said all the other second divisions across Europe, apart from England. We said that Coventry got promoted. But we also know the other team that's promoted automatically, which will be Ipswich Town. Ipswich returning back to the Premier League. They defeated QPR 3-0. Wrexham missed the opportunity to get that last promotion playoff spot. They could only draw 2-2 against Middlesbrough. And Hull City snatched that last spot again after defeating Norwich City 2-1. Some other lifting news. Sheffield Wednesday defeated West Bromwich Albion 2-1, which means they finished the season on 0 points.
Yeah, I saw the video of people cheering for that.
No, that's slightly different. So also great news, and this is the really big news, the wonderful news, was that Sheffield Wednesday, their takeover has been confirmed. Sheffield Wednesday, their takeover has been confirmed, which means they will start next season with no points deduction, which is terrific news. But also, the video you're describing is the one that how they told the fans, which was on the big screen at Hillsborough. They showed a points deduction -15. For next season, and then it just started slowly coming down, and every single point that dropped, all the fans were like, "Way!" and then, like dropping, and the last one to 0, and the whole crowd went crazy. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. I think that's a lot. It's a lot to cover. There's a lot happening. If anyone's keeping watch on Scoopy Watch, they lost 5-0, so not long to go for them to try and snatch their last opportunity to get a single victory of the season. Remaining the only team in any top flight of Europe not to win a game. Right, that's it for all the things we've missed. Do you have a trivial trivia?
I don't. We have a lot of things to say.
I have a stupid one if you like it. It's linked to the championship, hence why I ended on the championship. So elsewhere, Watford finished 16th this season and fired their head coach.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes. Now, you may know Watford for being quite fond of firing their head coaches and being quite the turnaround. I've made a note. Guess how many managers they've gone through in the last 7 years?
I saw the statistic and it was ridiculous, but I don't remember precisely. But it was more than 10, no? More than 20?
No.
18?
It's close. It's very close. I mean, it's a good guess. The answer is 15. 15 managers in the last 7 seasons. In fact, it's 12 in the last 5. I should have probably led with that. That is astonishing.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what? People keep applying for the job. It's their own silly fault. Thank you so much. Speaking of own silly fault, thank you for watching, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Live or not, make sure you follow our social medias, which can be found up there on X, on YouTube. Feel free to leave comments as long as they're nice. Looking at you, Evode, Nave, etc., etc. Who put that? This week coming up. Oh my goodness! It's the finale of all the semi-finals across the European competitions in the Champions League, and the Europa League, and the Conference League. We all know our finalists by next week. We might even have another couple of champions crowned in league football. Yeah. We'll never know. Well, we will know soon. Thank you so much once again. Thank you, Leo, for joining me as ever.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, everyone, for watching us.
Treat as ever. Have a wonderful week, everybody, and we will see you next time. Oof, it's going to be a big one again.
Goodbye.